You can't buy 30 years of relationships and being in the trenches with someone. You just have to keep reaching new levels, and you just can't make the big enough mistake to drop you to the bottom. People always ask what's the key to raising money. I'm like, it's just telling your story.
Today on the show, I'm happy to have Justin Fenchel. He's the CEO of Beatbox Beverages, the world's tastiest party punch. So Justin, what's the revenue of the business in 23? And then also what's it tracking to in 24 here?
Yeah, we actually amazingly hit 100 million in revenue in 2023, and we're up about 95% through September of this year. So pretty cool.
And how long is the team that takes to run the organization?
Our team, like 2 years ago, was about 50, 60 people, but today we're up over 200 people in the company now across all different.
Wow. What year did you actually found the business?
It's the old 12-year overnight success story. So we founded the company in 2012, actually really November 2011, but yeah, long time ago.
So you've cracked into what is a very difficult and competitive industry. All right. And you have scaled this business extremely well. Honestly, 12 years in the grand scheme of things to get to 100 million in the alcohol beverage industry is not that long.
Right.
So what did you do from the beginning in having that lean model and testing the idea?
Yeah, I think we early on, when we were just fleshing out what was this product going to be, we had in our heads this idea of a party version of box wine centered around this feeling of being at a music festival and all of the fun that comes with that. And we didn't know where to start. We had no experience in alcohol. So we said, how can we test this out as quickly and as affordably as possible to get real-time feedback that wasn't just from like our parents or our friends. And so for us, is we wanted to make a party version of basically Franzi. Our original product was a 5 liter box drink. And so we did it with the lean startup principles in mind. We actually emptied out Franzia bags, filled them up with like vodka, crystallized food coloring. We went on one of those crowdsourcing websites. There was a few of them, but we used designcrowd.com, and which was new back in 2011, 2012. And we got all these different logo designs, packaging designs, and we just put stickers on cardboard boxes with this mix that we had made. And we would just go to different parties, like a tailgate, a kickball game, a pool party. And we'd put these boxes down and just have people come by and say, hey, which one do you think looks the coolest? Why did you pick that one? And then, all right, we'll go back to the one you thought tasted the best. Okay, why did you go back to that one? What was good? Like, what price point do you think it should be at? And you had people trying to give us $20 bills at these, like, for these like makeshift boxes. So it was like, that was a lot of confidence that we needed to say, okay, this could be a really cool idea. And we were able to do all of that to get real-time feedback, real insights into how this product should be designed, what flavors it should be, what price it should be, for just a few grand. So I think sometimes companies, whether you're just starting or you're working a big company, it's like you can really waste a lot of money putting out a product that you think people want. Just because you think they want it doesn't mean that the market wants it. So you really have to get out there and learn quickly.
When getting distribution, right? How did you crack that code?
So distribution in alcohol is everything. We didn't know anything about the alcohol industry. And so we didn't even know that you needed a distributor. In fact, our first go at it, we actually had to figure out how to make it ourselves and become like a winery, because wineries could self-distribute. We then had enough traction self-distributing where we were able to get some excitement from a distributor. But the key, so then from there, like our story's crazy. Like we went on Shark Tank, and then we ended up launching in like 30 states with a distributor, because they were like, oh shit, you're on this national show. We want to put you in all these markets. But we didn't know how to manage the distributors. And so as it relates specifically to beverage alcohol, you have to know how they operate, what motivates them, what other products they're selling, and why yours is different. Do they make enough money on it? And then the next level is like, why does the retailer want it? Where does it go in the store? And so ultimately, when we had enough funding to hire people, that was how you started to really do it. Cause like we could have the meetings and we could be entrepreneurial and try and talk about the product, but until we hired industry veterans who knew people at those distributors to motivate them, that's when there was this big unlock. So you have to speak their language. To me, it was hiring great people that came from those worlds. And then it's finding small wins, right? You're not trying to go everywhere. Like we made the mistake for sure of launching way too far, way too fast. And it almost put us out of business. We drowned in opportunity after Shark Tank, but we were able to figure out we needed a smaller size which is, you can see behind me, these 500 ml Tetra packs, because the big box was like $25. These are $3.99. And we needed to move to a different distribution network. And once you started to see little fires going, then you just got to harness that data, share it with other distributors, get them excited. And you need your first break, right? Like we needed our first chain account to take us in. And then we made sure that's successful. And then you build on that. But you definitely can't be all things all at once. You got to like really focus, figure out what drives velocity in a distributor, and then take those learnings and those wins, and you can start then slowly scaling that. And then that's what we've been doing for the last 6, 7 years since we launched the single serves and switched to these new distributors, is just like building over time.
It really is about who, and when you don't know the people, you hire people who do.
It's the reality of the world that we live in, right? You have to hire sometimes relationships that you don't have, because some of these folks have worked in those distributors for 15, 25, 35 years, and you can't buy 30 years of relationships and being in the trenches with someone. And yeah, it's super important. No, and that's like, no matter what industry you're in, you have to know the players and where you can find the leverage points, and then really hire to that.
And what year did you go on Shark Tank? And then what was it experience and what has come from it?
So we filmed actually June of 2014. So just over 10 years ago. We aired October 2014. And it was incredible, right? We were doing about $200,000 in sales and in 14 months of our existence, and walked out of there with $1 million investment from Mark, which at the time was like the fourth largest deal in the show's history. So I think there's two parts to it. It's like, one, that was amazing. $1 million in the bank. That was our big seed round. And that helped us get going. But it also pushed us. Walmart wanted to put us in 500 locations, or they wanted to put us in more. We didn't even have the permits to be in a lot of other states yet. So like we expanded, as I talked about earlier, into 30 states really fast, way faster than we should have. And we just had our eyes wide open. We had this TV show. Walmart wants us, distributors wants us, but we didn't understand how to manage that, what drove velocity at retail. And so while that was exciting and it was fun and we traveled all over and it was working in certain pockets, it just wasn't scalable. But being on Shark Tank and having Mark Cuban as an investor really helped us meet other people that ultimately invested, that probably wouldn't have invested if Mark wasn't in it as big as he was. So like we needed that to keep the video game going, because you've signed up for a long video game and you just have to keep reaching new levels, and you just can't make the big enough mistake to drop you to the bottom, and you're just trying to stay alive long enough till you figure it out. And so having Mark as a big investor helped us get other people excited to invest as we were figuring out the new model to grow the business.
And how has it been taking in an outside capital? And also not just taking an outside capital, but you're taking outside capital of big names. So how has that experience been?
Yeah. And I don't, there's no silver bullet to raising money. We've raised money sometimes through an Instagram DM. It's been through doing tastings at a store and meeting someone who knew someone who had a lot of money, right? So you just got to be out there shouting your story from the rooftops. I think people always ask, what's the key to raising money? I'm like, it's just telling your story, right? And I always quote Rob Dyrdek, who's an investor in ours, and money loves clarity. So you want to be crystal clear in what your vision is and how this money is taking you from point A to point B. And at point B, that helps you to raise more because you've reached this new milestone. But you got to be really clear with your story and your vision, and try and be as efficient as possible, especially if you're not making money right away. If you're like losing money as a company, you better be efficient, because it's $1 million lasted us about 14 months. Like it sounds like a lot of money, but in the alcohol industry, Anheuser-Busch spends more than that on a Facebook ad. Try to be efficient. Don't try and do everything, and be very clear about how you're going to grow to the next milestone. But yeah, we've raised money all sorts of different ways, and we haven't really taken any kind of institutional capital. It's been just a lot of super high net worths that we've met along the way.
And do you like the choice of just going with super high net worths versus institutional?
It's been the path that we've had to take because we didn't check the box of like traditional venture capital. So we didn't have the option. We tried. A lot of VCs said we don't really see it here. I think it depends. VCs, there's a lot of challenges taking venture capital or private equity money. We like the high net worths because some family offices, because they're much more longer term capital. They're not like, all right, in 2 years you have to do X, Y, Z. So they're a little more patient and they're a little more hands off. Venture capital is gonna be like, you better grow. And if you don't, they don't necessarily like, they don't, they've got 50 investments and they only need two to work. So they're not as concerned about your, like, as much as you are. For you, it's one of one. Either it works or it doesn't. For them, it's just another portfolio company that, hey, this one didn't work out, but these other two were unicorns. So we're fine. So it's a little bit of a different kind of incentive structure.
If any of our listeners wanted to learn more about Beatbox, your story, or just purchase a beverage, where could they do so?
We're in 110,000 accounts across the country, pretty much almost every convenience store. We're now in Kroger and Total Wine and Walmart and almost every 7-Eleven. So you can grab it there. It's super fun. Bring it to your next get together, your next social gathering, have some fun. You can look on our website, beatboxbeverages.com. You can actually put in your zip code. There's a store locator there that'll show you all the places and the flavors of places near you. You can follow us on social media. We're big on Instagram, TikTok, X, you name it. I think it's just at Beatbox Beverages on Instagram and at Beatbox Bevs on X, and then Beatbox Beverages on TikTok. So lots of places to find us. Join the community. We're also on Discord. We're there for you to hang out with and have fun.
Everyone, make sure to check out Beatbox. And thank you, Justin, for coming on the show, and everyone for listening to another episode of Bailing to Success. If you like the show, make sure to subscribe. I'm your host, Chad Galecki, and we'll see you next time.